Hi, everyone. This is Mike Ramsey with Nifty Marketing, and I wanted to stop in and just create a video that shows you how to update your Google My Business listing, especially as we're in the middle of COVID-19. Google has actually created a few features within Google My Business that I think you can take advantage of right now to ensure people understand about your business and are able to get the accurate information that's needed. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into a presentation and share my screen right now. So bear with me for a second. Okay, so here we are. And I would like to talk to you about the new face of Google My Business. So here's the big problem. And this is, I need, before I dive into specific things, I want to give you a good idea of why Google My Business even exists in the first place. And I think that will help you as you put information on here to just understand, why Google has it, and also, how you can best take advantage of it. So first off, small businesses are pretty bad at the web. And Google looks at this problem internationally, and they don't just look in specific industries. So they're looking at all small businesses across the entire world. If you look at law firms in the United States, there's actually pretty good websites overall, but they can't just think in that. So they created this product that works for everybody, and here's why. You can see some just absolutely glorious websites like Ling's Cars, wonderful, it's absolute great user experience, right? Not quite. Same with this site here for wrestling. And something like this for a law firm becomes very difficult for people to manage and find the information that is necessary for them to make decisions. And so, Google and users across the world of the web just kind of look at it like this. Good old Judge Judy moan. So Google creates Google My Business. And the idea is that they want to give listing information, accurate business information, as fastly and as quickly as possible to people using the internet so that they can make the decisions that they need to. First and most important thing that you need to understand, you should own your Google My Business listing. If you're with a company that set this up for you and you don't have access to it or ownership, please ask for that immediately. The law firm should be the primary owner, and then let's say there's a marketing company like mine or something else, they can be managers. Okay, now pull out your phone, and I want you to search for your law firm. Now I put together an example of this of a friend of mine, and that's Ben Glass Law. And so I did a screenshot of what it looks like when you do a search. When you type it on mobile, Ben Glass Law, the Google My Business information shows up first and foremost. And then below that, you end up with the website results. And so people generally don't go directly to the website when they can get this information that they need. Location, hours, and then they can call directly from this. They can click through to your website or get driving directions, but they can find out a ton of information about you here. Okay. Now, when you do a search that's not just for a specific brand, but like, let's say Las Vegas personal injury attorney, the local results show up just below the ads, and these are powered by Google My Business. Okay. So it's really, really important real estate to try to show up in if you're a law firm. So here's a client we'll be looking at some of the information for, and that's Knock v. Injury Law in Las Vegas. So when you click on this listing, let's say you do a Google search, you click on Knock v. Injury Law, you don't click on the website symbol or the direction symbol, but just on, like you would any other search result, just click on it. Where would you think it would take you? It doesn't go to the website. It goes to further information about the company. Okay. And I think people miss this. To get to a website, you have to click directly on the little symbol for the website, or come here and click on the symbol for the website. And we're seeing, depending on the client, sometimes 30% of people are basically finding everything they need here and making the phone call to your firm directly from Google My Business compared to even venturing onto your website. Okay. So when you log in, this is what the dashboard looks like. And Google has populated a message and changed this during COVID-19. They have a little box here on different things that you might need to do to your listing to ensure that you're letting people know. And we'll dive into that. But I'm going to start and just walk through some of these various tabs so that you make sure that you have the right information. Okay. So for our company, Nifty Marketing, we have an accurate business name. Super important. We'll talk about why. And that is, if you put something that's inaccurate, for instance, let's say, we're in Burley, Idaho, and let's say I put Nifty Marketing, internet marketing company in Burley, Idaho, all in this title. Guess what? It would actually help you rank better, but it's against Google guidelines to add or stuff keywords into this Google My Business title. And a lot of law firms do it, but companies like mine and then teams of basically like quality control people for Google go around and they update these, and you can actually end up penalized or the listing revoked because of spam, because of spam in titles and everything else. So I'll show you some interesting things with that potentially a little further in this presentation, or you can hit me up with questions. Categorization is a huge deal. The categories, there's a primary category and then secondary categories. Ensure that the type of law you do is your primary category, and then you can have like law firm, lawyer, etc. as secondary categories. Or if there's like, let's say you do personal injury and criminal defense, which one is the most important to you? That needs to be your primary category, and then use the other ones below that. Okay. Accurate business address location, ensure that it's the same on other directories, everything else. And then as you get into hours, this is important. If there's any changes to your office hours during COVID-19, update those. Google has a message that shows up that says, hey, COVID-19 might be affecting these hours. By updating that, people will know. They'll see that there's accurate information, and I'll show you a few other places you can add some things. So, okay, as we keep moving on, we have the phone number box, and I have a individual thing on that here in a minute. So this is an example of knock the injury law. So personal injury attorney, that's the type of law he practices. And then we have like lawyer and law firm. He's all in, personal injury, car accident, everything else. So ensure that's the main primary category, okay? This is that pop-up that Google has that shows hours or services may differ due to COVID-19. And this is kind of freaking people out because then they don't know whether they can trust the information. So there's a few tips and tricks to ensure that that's updated, which we'll get into. Also, when it comes to phone numbers, if you have a tracking phone number, if you have like, let's say you're using a service like CallRail or just anything that's like a call tracking phone number, you can use that in your primary phone number box, but ensure all other phone numbers for your business fall under this additional phone tab. So if you have 2 or 3 lines that ring through to your direct, make sure that you have those in your additional. And diving into why, basically Google, they store all your business information in what's called a cluster. These clusters are kind of fascinating because it's not like a website URL or anything like that. They use your business name, business address, and business phone number, and any information they find across the web that associates with those things, they put into your cluster. So let's say you have 3 phone numbers and they're not tied in here. Google might not know it's the same business. It could send conflicting messages, and then you end up splitting the cluster of information, which hurts their ability to determine how relevant, authoritative, and everything else your company is. So ensure you have those going for you, okay? The other thing to do, like videos. Add videos to your listing if you have videos of your workspace, and then of your office, of your logo, and then individual. So you can see up here, there's tabs that represent all the different type of places and things you can put video or photos with. Now, what I would do at this time is under your interior photos, this is a great opportunity to take a picture of your home office and put it up there, right? And you can have your business set up, but also have your home office. So as they're looking, they're saying, okay, yeah, they are functioning. And there's some places to add some descriptions and things like that where you can explain that also, okay? So here's an example of Nifty. He shows a lot of the service, or of Nakvi. He shows a lot of service and testimonials in this section of different things that he's done. So there's a ton you can do, and these are all videos. Okay. Now I want to talk about Google Posts. To me, this is one of the biggest updates that Google made that you should be taking advantage of right now. So this is called the Google Post. It shows up on your GMB listings, and they created a specific COVID-19 update option for Google Posts that allow you to let your customers know as they do a search for your brand what's happening, right? So you can tell them you're open, but you're working from home, you're still taking calls or cases or whatever. So go in and update this. For Nakvi, we're doing a branding campaign and everything else that talks just about staying safe in Las Vegas, and that he cares, right? And so he's saying we're still open and available for those who've been injured because of negligence of someone else. And then he talks about technology and how, that we're able to do all these things and have our staff work from home. So very nice message, very basic, but it makes sure that as people type in and look around for, if they're looking for him in particular, they'll see this and understand what's going on with the business without even having to go to the website. Okay. We've been tracking data across some of these features in Google My Business for years, since probably about 2016. And then we update this study every year, and we monitor the top markets and top cities all across the United States. So what we found is that 25% of top ranking law firms are using Google Posts currently. And that's a 316% change since 2018. So pretty big growth in law firms using the Google Posts feature. You can do all types of things with it. This is an example. Let me move my video here. This is an example of something that was done that we put on ours, which was basically a cutout picture of a lawyer that we work with, and then we used one of the quotes he gave about working with us there. So even after, or if you want to have multiple posts, you can, there's lots of different things you can do with that. Okay, once COVID gets over, or if you could do this now, our friend Joel Headley that works at Patient Pop, which is mainly in the doctor space, and he actually used to be in-house at Google on their support staff. He ran the support team. He did a big test where they created buttons in Google Posts that said book an appointment today, and that was the image used, and it looked like a button, and they saw a 2 times increase in clicks on that by just having that button. So just kind of fascinating to share. Okay. Oop, jumped ahead. Okay. Now, this is a big one. Review replies aren't available at this time due to coronavirus. And this is a message that Google is sharing on GMB. Here's what's happening. People can still log in and leave reviews, but they will not show up on your listing currently. I think there's multiple reasons why. One is staffing at Google, but 2 is because I think people might be either leaving a lot of bad reviews because businesses aren't open or they don't have their information updated or whatever, but just Google couldn't handle it. So they just disabled the ability for these reviews to show up, but people are still typing them in. The question will be whether those at some future date then show up on the listing or if they just disappear. Any reviews that were typed during that time. So they haven't removed the full system of reviews from Google, but you will not have any new reviews showing up on your listing. Okay. Question and answers. This Q&A feature was added to Google a couple years back, and we've seen dramatic adoption on these. So 40% of top ranking law firms had Google questions. They had people asking them questions. Only 21% of those ended up being answered. Okay. So a huge lack of questions went unanswered. And these are on people who are ranking really high and usually on top of things. So like as it goes down, the data was much worse. And here's some examples of that. So here's a law firm, and people used it to complain about the law firm. The question, this isn't even a question, absolutely horrible communication. Have not heard from an attorney in 6 months. They lied about finding my main witness in my car. I mean, just awful information. So you can actually feed and put your own questions in and answer currently. That's fine by Google guidelines. So, you know, that's something that in the future, I would recommend you creating a list of the top questions people ask about your firm, and then leaving, you know, your best answers. Now, this during COVID-19, these have been removed from your listing completely. The Q&A feature was turned off, and all questions and answers were actually removed. I think the main reason why is because they got so inundated with, hey, is this business open right now? So they're looking for you know, you to go in and share that information in a different way. This feature will come back to listings as soon as I'm guessing Googlers are back to work. So currently, though, that is disabled. All right, here's an example of Knockvies and how some great questions were fed and then great answers, right? Is there a time limit I need to see a doctor within after a car accident if I want you know, the expenses covered? And so then goes through and explains the situation on these. These are common questions that they get a lot. Okay, now this is interesting data to just be monitoring, and you can see what's happening during this time. We've seen across a large amount of law firms that currently organic traffic to law firms on average, and this is across a lot of areas of law, are down about 25 to 30%. That's kind of the overall down for organic. For those doing paid advertising, PPC, we've actually seen that it's flat, but conversions have gone up. And that goes down to the fact that people have paused their ads. And so it creates opportunity to convert higher at less cost, actually. So on paid side, people are getting more leads. On organic side right now, and probably for at least another month or so, you'll see leads dip. Now that, in my opinion, there's a few things to take in mind here. That doesn't mean go and pause organic. Organic, as far as the work done for organic, it's more of a marathon of work that just constantly goes, and it kind of doesn't matter what's happening with website traffic. You know, as far as amount of searchers, as that comes back up, if you take your foot off the gas, you'll be, you know, potentially a few months behind and miss that opportunity. So like organic's more of a constant work. But paid is this area where if you're not potentially doing some paid ads, especially in low, like you can have a local paid ad that shows up in that either in above in, you know, the top 3 or 4 spots, or then in the map in that top spot, then, you know, there's still, even though we're down potentially about 30% of search traffic, like the amount of search that's happening in paid and the amount of pause is such that there's opportunity to pick up, there's actually opportunity to pick up more, unless you are absolutely spending all of the money in that one market. There's still room to be made there. So super fascinating. But I like looking at the in Google My Business at some of the data that they share, because they're showing how this person's being found. Okay. So direct means they're typing in brand searches. So for instance, the name of the law firm, the name of the lawyer, etc. Discovery is how many times they're showing up in searches that are more related to the category, like personal injury, car accident, etc. So you can see massive amounts of people, a majority, are finding not via brand search, but by categorical searching. Okay. And then this goes through and they'll show you the different phrases and how often people searched to find that. So super great data. And then this page also is really fun. It shows where you showed up in search results compared to maps. And then they break down the data further and they'll say, okay, from your Google My Business listing, here's how many people went to your website. Here's how many people clicked on driving directions. Here's how many people called you, and here's how many chats you had. Now, this is super fascinating on the call side. Think of this. 213 people called and never went to the website. 121 people looked for driving directions, never went to the website. So in total, we had almost 50%. Just right at almost 50% of people in this specific month that didn't even go to the website and did everything they needed to from Google My Business, showing you the importance of Google My Business. Now, I get a lot of common questions on GMB, which is what we call it for short. So I'll tackle a few of those right now. One, can you use a virtual office to create a Google My Business listing? The answer is no. If your business rents a temporary virtual office at a different address from your primary business, do not create a page for that location unless it is staffed during your normal business hours by your business staff. That's the exception. Okay. So this is basically the guidelines from Google. They will shut it down. It's very hard to try to work around this. So the way to do it is get an office. Okay. Now I want to show you why people do this, and it's something to think about. You know, if you're really looking to be competitive in either bigger cities or cities that you're not potentially in. So this is Las Vegas, and the search phrase is car accident attorney. And each of these blue dots represents a law firm. Okay. Represents a law firm in Las Vegas and where their office location is. Now, what you're seeing all these other dots represent is on this phrase where this company, the law firm, ranks based on where the person does a mobile search, or if they're at their home and they do a search or whatever. So you can see it's not all the same across the whole city of Las Vegas. It's based on exactly where the searcher is. So right here, right by the office, they're really showing up high, you know? So for this whole area of town, they're in the top parts. As you start moving to the other side of town, all of a sudden they're nowhere to be found. And that's on purpose on Google's end, because they're trying to give people very accurate local information, as local as it gets. And when it comes to mobile, they want to share, you know, super local. This is what's hard for law firms, because location of the law firm matters, but I'm willing to drive a little further for a law firm than I probably am for a restaurant, especially maybe a fast food restaurant. But Google can't necessarily look at every category and every industry and have this algorithm work differently. Maybe in the future they'll get there, but as of now, I think lawyers kind of get hurt by this because they're being lumped in with all other small brick and mortar businesses. So let's take all of these locations. And so the reason why people might want to have virtual offices or set up additional locations in a city is to have multiple places where they can rank higher, right? If you're on this side of town, then maybe you want to be over here, because actually your customer or client base that you're wanting to work with is more in the northern part of Las Vegas. It's like over here, it's in Summerlin or whatever it is, right? So you need to basically decide where your customers are coming from, where those clients are, and see if your office is anywhere near that. If not, maybe having two offices is right. Or if there's multiple places you want to show up, then that's kind of that approach. So I just want to show that tool. Kind of interesting. So the other question we get a lot, can I use the same office to create a Google My Business listing as another lawyer? Now, let's say it's a building and there's co-space, like you share a receptionist, and then there's like, you can have your own office that has your signage on it and you're there all the time. Could you use the listing there? Yeah. But if you practice the same area of law, let's say you're both personal injury or both criminal defense or family or whatever, then that actually doesn't work out very good, because one of you will rank, the other one will be filtered, meaning that listing won't even show up. So whoever's the highest ranking one in that office building will be there. Nobody else will. Even if you were going to be the second, best in that entire market, you would still be filtered. So you have to be very careful to ensure that wherever you're at, you don't have other lawyers practicing the same type of law, or other law firms practicing the same type of law in that same building. Okay. And if you do have that and there's no way around that, then make sure that you're the highest ranking one, or else you'll be filtered and you won't show up in search results. Okay. All right. Is the Google My Business listing one that you can just set up and forget about? And the answer is no. As we've seen, you really, really need to keep up on it during COVID-19. There's a description field. I would go in and update that and let people know you're still open, how COVID-19's affected your business in Google Posts. Those disappear every 2 weeks, so you need to make sure that you're constantly updating that Google Post thing. We do that for a majority of our clients if we can have a process set up with them on the type of things that they want to post. If your client don't have that set up, talk to your project manager, and that can be something very easily done. And in most cases, that is something that we are doing. And with that, we get another question about this. How do I rank across town or in the city next door? Back to that first question, it's multiple office locations. Showing that example of where people rank, it's adding locations. The only other way to do it is creating content on your website about that across town spot, or the city next door. But it won't show up in maps, and a lot of the clicks in Google for small businesses are in that local search results. So the only way to do it is to have an office in across town or in that city next door. So hopefully this has been helpful, just walking you through a few basic things when it comes to Google My Business that you should keep up on. Make sure that you've updated. And I wish you well. It's a very, very interesting time when it comes to all types of marketing, and when it comes to all types of business services. And I think everybody's trying to know some very specific things that they can do to stay on top of things. Updating your Google My Business listing is something very specific that you need to do if you haven't. Make sure people know that you're there. Make sure that people know that they can talk to you even though you're at home. It would be an awesome place to put that you're potentially doing Zoom conferences or video conferences with clients. And I wish you all the luck, and may the odds be ever in your favor.